Welcome back to my channel, Ragamuffins. My name is Raggy, and today I am bringing you a tier list for Pokemon in which I take all of the Galarian Variants. So, if you've been sleeping under a rock, then you probably didn't notice that ever since Pokemon Sun and Moon, we've been given regional variants of a lot of our old favorite Pokemon to enjoy in a whole new way in the newly released games. So, they don't carry over into the following game, it's just a added bit of flavor, and it's like I said, a whole new way to enjoy the same old thing. So, as an example, hey, maybe Mr. Mime was your favorite Pokemon and you've been using him ever since Gen 1. And after about 8 gens, that's starting to get a little stale, but now you've got regional variant Galarian Mr. Mime. So he might be your new favorite. If nothing else, it is a whole new way to enjoy the same old thing, and I love that. So today, I'm going to be rating them from S through to D in no particular order, just based on which ones I like for any old reason. So without wasting too much time, we're just going to get straight into it. So, right on the very start of this list, we have Galarian Rapidash, and if only for how viable Galarian Rapidash is competitively, I am going to put Galarian Rapidash into S rank. Galarian Rapidash is based on a rainbow unicorn, and I'm here for that as well. I'm not so crazy about the aesthetic design, but I do like how viable it is. I've used Rapidash, like traditional Rapidash, before, and I didn't enjoy it as much as I loved using Galarian Rapidash. If you haven't done that, try it. Then we have, I believe it's just a regional variant of Farfetch'd, Galarian Farfetch'd. I could be wrong about this, I'm remembering some of it a little wrong, but we've got Galarian Farfetch'd, and I actually don't care so much for Galarian Farfetch'd. I didn't realize for the longest time that this was actually a regional variant, because it looks so similar to regular old Farfetch'd. The only difference I think there actually is the size of the leek that he carries around. It's like, you gotta ask, does that really make it a regional variant? Like, biologically speaking, is it not still exactly the same thing? I don't know, but it's a little uninspired to me. Then we have its evolved form, Farfetch'd, and I'm going to put Farfetch'd up in A rank. So, Farfetch'd, again, alright, a bit of confusion, but because I didn't realize that Galarian Farfetch'd was actually Galarian Farfetch'd, I initially thought that Farfetch'd was Galarian Farfetch'd. And when people would talk about Galarian Farfetch'd, I thought they were talking about this guy. I am better educated now, but I will say this, that Farfetch'd needed Farfetch'd. He needed an evolved form. He has not been viable ever. As far back as Gen 1, there have just been better flying type Pokemon, and now we finally have him wielding the sword and shield, very appropriate for his games that he's from. But we have him like in his Farfetch'd evolved form now, and it's a new thing for Farfetch'd, so I'm here for it. Then we have Galarian Mr. Mime. And if only because I do not care for Mr. Mime, I'm going to be rating him quite low, but it is not a bad change. I like that he is closer to the black and white coloring that we know mimes in real life to use. The fact that Mr. Mime is mostly like pink in color was always kind of weird to me. It made him definitely more like a clown in my book. But now we have him in a dark blue, which is a lot closer to the black and white. It's a more traditional take on a mime. So there we go. I believe he's also quite viable competitively, so there's a point to Mr. Mime as well. Okay, this here is Galarian Corsola, and it's kind of boring to me, but I'm going to rate it as a B because it does make sense, because it's like a withered coral, which is, you know, it's a different way to enjoy the same old Pokemon that is Corsola, and Corsola, being coral, could actually end up looking like this. So it sucks that the Galar region has to have like dried up, dying coral, but there you go. We have Mr. Rime, who is the newly evolved form of Mr. Mime, but only in Galar. I'm gonna rate this guy an A. I actually think he's kind of cool with his little mustache and his cane. He's such a sir, you know, just owning it completely, just being his best self. You know, it's just a good design. I like it. Then we have Galarian Meowth. The only Pokemon I'm pretty sure to have multiple regional variants now, I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong about that. But yeah, I'm here for it. I think it's a solid B. Like, it's definitely better than his Alolan form. I hated his Alolan form. This one is a lot more interesting to me. Then we have... I think his name is Darumaka. It's been a while since I've thought about this guy, but Galarian Darumaka is an A. I'm not, like, mental crazy about this guy. I'm actually going to put Darmanitan in the same spot as well. These guys are just an A. It's a complete shift, fire type to ice type, and they look like what they're supposed to be. It definitely looks like Darumaka and Darmanitan, but inspired as like ice types, especially with Darmanitan because he's designed to look like a snowman now. That's pretty clever. Then we have Galarian Yamask, and I'm going to rate that as a C. I really like Yamask. And it's pretty cool to see him with, like, a different kind of, like, thing at the end of his tail there, but it's also a little uninspired. It is, I would say, too similar, and we get into the territory of Farfetch'd, where it's like, okay, so one thing on him is different, that makes him like an almost completely different species, apparently. Doesn't make sense. Galarian Stunfisk. Okay, I hate Stunfisk. Stunfisk, in black and white, was, like, the worst Pokemon to encounter. It was boring. I don't think anyone used it. And, like, its Galarian form hasn't given it anything. It hasn't given people any reason to want to learn about it or to use it. It's, for all intents, the same boring Pokemon that it was before. Then we have new evolved form for Meowth, Berserker. And I'm actually going to put Berserker up in S rank. This is such a fun, like, full circle evolution. I like the beard on him. I like the red eyes. This is, like... If there had been, like, just a Kanto version of Berserker, I reckon it would have made a lot more sense than Persian. Because Persian, I've talked about this in another video, unfortunately a very disappointing Pokemon. But, Berserker, he's fun. He is aesthetically really fun, and I love that. Then we have the evolved form of Galarian Corsola, and it is a ghost type, which makes sense because Dying Coral... It died, it became a ghost type, and that's pretty good. We took something horrible with the Dying Withering Coral, which is a worldwide issue in real life too, and then we made something cool out of it. Not to take the situation lightly, but Corsola, I've said this before, new ghost type Pokemon is always such an opportunity for creativity, and I love it. Okay, this is Runerigus. I hope I'm saying it right. Runerigus? This is the alt version of Kofagrigus, or that is to say, he is the evolved form of Galarian Yamask, and I'm actually going to put him down into D section. I do not like that I don't know what end of him I am actually looking at. It's clearly the progression from Yamask, but it's like, it just looks messy and weird to me. I am, like, definitely much prefer Kofagrigus, for sure. This is the Zen mode for Galarian Darmanitan. I'm just going to put it up in A section because it carries over the snowman motif, and I'm here for it. Okay, we are getting into legendary territory. Galar introduced regional variants for legendary Pokemon, and the legendary bird trio from Gen 1 has not really been relevant for quite some time, so I really appreciate that they gave them this love. I know that a lot of people, like, rekindled a lot of love for these three Pokemon that had otherwise been overshadowed by new choices for a very long time. So, rating them separately with Articuno, I'm going to say, okay, for this one, it's a solid B. I appreciate that it's still a cool color, it's very much, like, it's definitely still Articuno. A little boring to me, I still appreciate it because it is a new way to enjoy Articuno. Then we have Galarian Lanoon, and I love Lanoon. I've talked about Lanoon a number of times on this channel. He's going straight up to S rank. Lanoon needed a regional variant. He hadn't been relevant for a long time, and this was the right way to do it. Then we have Galarian Moltres, back to the birds, and I'm actually going to put him up in A section. The black and, like, crimson flames, it's really cool, and I kind of low-key wish that this had just been what Moltres looked like originally. Both forms are really cool. I actually prefer this one over the original Moltres, so that says a lot. They really went out of their way on this design. I'm here for it. Then we have Obstagoon. The new evolved form of Lanoon is also going into S rank. I love Obstagoon. I just love everything Lanoon, so if you're an evolved form of Lanoon, instant brownie points. Then we have Galarian Ponyta, and I obviously don't love it as much as Rapidash because it is not like as competitively viable. It's a pre-evolved form. Respectfully, I'm going to put it in A section because the Rainbow Unicorn motif is still like very bold and it suits, so well done. Okay, so we have Galarian Slowbro here, and I think it's really cool that his shell is actually like on his hand now, which I think makes him a lot more useful in a practical sense. If I was going to have an evolved form, I would want like the key ingredient to be a new big spiky weapon on my hand, I guess. It's a lot better. I think this one is a lot more interesting than just regular old Slowbro, so I'm going to put this one respectfully in B, if only because Slowbro still doesn't interest me all that much. Of all of the choices that we were given in Sword and Shield, Slowbro is still not like really taking my interest a whole lot. We have Galarian Slowpoke, and I'm actually going to put him down into D section. It's clearly a different form, except it looks like someone just like covered him in margarine on his head and tail there. Which it occurs to me that might be what they're referencing, because they eat Slowpoke tails, right, in the games. So maybe that's like mustard on his tail or something, I'm not sure. But that's really the only thing that changes about him, apart from the fact that he is kind of laying down now. He's not even standing up. So it's like they kind of went backwards a little bit with Slowpoke. And then we have Galarian Weezing, and Galarian Weezing respectfully has to go all the way up to S section. It's such a cool, clever design. I like the stovepipe hats as chimneys and the green smoke coming out of them now. So like I said, it is a whole new way to enjoy the same old thing. And a Pokemon like Weezing, who has been around for a very long time, I'm here for it. It works. I appreciate it very, very much. Last of the Legendary Bird trio, we actually have Galarian Zapdos, and I am putting him also into S section. He is my favorite of the Legendary Birds, and one of my favorite Legendaries just in general. The fact that they gave him such a bold new design. They didn't just change his color, they didn't just make him bigger with, like, longer spread out wings or something like that. They actually turned him into a completely different kind of bird. He went from being, like, this, like, huge flying fortress of a bird into what is essentially an ostrich, and, like, that's not bad. It is, like I said, I keep saying it, it's a cool new way to enjoy the same old thing. I think the orange coloring on him is pretty clever as well. Certainly, I don't think this would have looked as good if it had been his traditional color of yellow. It's very spiky, it's very cool, eccentric, I love it, I'm here for it, I love Galarian Zapdos. And then lastly, on this list, you can probably guess where I'm going to put him based on the others, but I'm putting Galarian Zigzagoon onto S rank as well. And with that, these have been my favorite Galarian regional variants. So, make sure to comment down below which Galarian forms you like and why. And if you enjoyed this video today, then make sure you give it a like and subscribe. Make sure to hit the bell icon as well so you can get instant updates anytime there's a new upload, and then you never ever have to miss out again. And yeah, thank you very much today for watching my video, Ragamuffins. I'll see you next time. Have a good one!